A hush falls over the grand hall. King Alexander sits upon his throne, his gaze sharp, his face impassive. Across the room, amidst the tapestry and velvet, stands Betty, a humble palace worker. She arranges flowers, her hands gentle, her heart unaware of the storm brewing in the king's eyes. And then there is Queen Isabella, the king's wife, a woman of quiet strength. She observes her husband, a shadow of concern crossing her face. Tonight, a new guest arrives at the palace, a renowned scientist, Dr. Julian Reed, known for his brilliance and enigmatic charm. As the king engages in conversation with the guest, his eyes meet those of Betty. It's a charged moment, a spark of undeniable chemistry, but she remains oblivious, focused on her tasks. Days turn into weeks, and with each passing day, the king's behavior shifts. He becomes distant, preoccupied, often disappearing for hours on end. The queen, ever perceptive, notices these changes, noticing, too, the stolen glances between the king and Betty. Whispers start circulating around the palace, weaving tales of the king's unusual behavior. Servants exchange worried glances, wondering about the growing rift between the royal couple. One evening, the king summons Betty to his study. She enters, her heart pounding, unsure of the reason for the king's call. He sits behind his desk, his face grave. "Betty," he begins, his voice low, "I need your help." Over the next few days, the king and Betty spend long hours together in the king's private chambers. The queen, observing from a distance, grows suspicious. Why has the king taken such a keen interest in the young worker? What secrets are they sharing? As the king grapples with his feelings for Betty, he finds solace in their companionship. But the guilt of betraying his wife and the uncertainty of his future weighs heavily on his mind. The queen, piecing together the fragments of information, confronts the king. She demands an explanation for his actions and the secrecy surrounding his relationship with Betty. In a moment of weakness, the king reveals everything. The affair with Betty, the stolen moments, the growing feelings of guilt and turmoil. The queen, though deeply hurt, shows remarkable strength and resolve. Instead of reacting impulsively, she takes time to process her emotions, seeking counsel from trusted advisors and friends. Days pass, and the weight of the king's actions begins to take its toll on him. He is tormented by the deceit, the fractured relationship with his wife, and the fear of losing everything. He realizes the depth of his mistake and the strength of his love for Isabella. Now it is time for choices. Will the king confess his love for Isabella? Will Betty accept the king's proposal? Or will the queen forgive the king and move forward? And most importantly, what will the consequences be for everyone involved? In the end, love, desire, and temptation are intertwined parts of the human experience. We all face situations where we must choose between our desires and our responsibilities, between passion and commitment. Sometimes our choices lead us to happiness, other times they lead us to pain. However, it is important to remember that every choice, every moment of passion, every silent understanding shapes our destiny. We have reached the end of our story, but the echoes of the characters and their choices will continue to resonate within us. As we reflect on their journeys, let us also examine our own lives. Where do we find ourselves in the intricate dance of love, desire, and temptation? What decisions do we make when faced with the complexities of relationships? Thank you for joining us on this journey through the labyrinth of the heart. If this story touched you, if it made you question, reflect, and feel, then we have done our job. Until next time, let the stories live within you, shaping you, inspiring you, reminding you of the beauty and complexity of the human experience. Take care.